Good morning. He gave you the whole speech on what I've been doing and where I've been going, and if you can't hear me, you have to tell me, because I can't hear myself. What I'd like to do today is show you some really cool equipment, actually. We're all looking for ways to train our players and different ways to train our players. And what I found is we're all great at saying, that's too high or that's too low or inside or 2 balls outside or whatever, but it's really, it's much easier when the players can see for themselves what they're doing. Most of our kids these days are, and I don't mean this to be negative in any sense, but our kids are looking for instant gratification. Okay, they want feedback right away, and they usually want it to be positive. And if it's not, they don't want to hear it, but if they can see it themselves, it's really interesting how they interact. And what I found, and I'm a teacher also, I teach in the classroom, elementary school and as well as college, and what we found is, obviously, kids learn by seeing, by touching, by hearing, some by feeling, some by tasting. But 3 of those things we can hit with most of this equipment that I'm going to show you. I've been using this stuff for 5 years. It's changed drastically in 5 years. It originally started when Toshi Yoshida was coaching with our national team. He had this brilliant idea that he wanted something that you'll see over here called the setter's eye. And he wanted something like that to train his setters, Robin and Mo. And we started playing around with some different ideas. Greg Ramaklis, who is somewhere over here, is the brain behind this. The guy never sleeps. He's always coming up with new ideas. And some of these things, you'll look at them and go, it's crazy. And it is at first when you try to use it, but it's a pretty intense form of training. First thing I like to show you, you saw them playing. It's called different things. I call it floorball. They call it warball. We use it just as a movement drill, and it's the kids, especially for the big kids that don't like to hit the floor. It's just a fun drill that we enter everything on the ground, and they have to play it 3 touches like regular volleyball, or 2 touches or 1. Sometimes you'll see them diving along the center line to try and block balls, but just kind of a fun movement drill to get them going. What I'm going to have these guys do as we go through this is I'm not going to teach you technique. I'm not going to fix hand positioning. That's not what this is about. You can talk to me afterwards. I'll be over at their booth, and we can talk about that stuff. A lot of you know that I've worked with Toshi. I'm not talking about what Toshi does or anything like that. What I want to show you is just some different ideas on how to train. And some of the hardest things, I think. So setting, blocking, attacking, we could talk about all day, but just some kind of fun things that you can throw in front of your kids. The first thing I'd like you to do is, can we toss to Skylar so you can set? And I don't need you guys to attack yet, but in a minute. Okay, what he's going to be doing right now is we're going to toss him balls and have him set. We call these the setter's eye. Okay, and what we're looking at with this, when we are attacking, and some of you have heard this term before, I'm going to use it and explain it. You have 2 points in your body that are kind of your center, that are your center line, or your strongest points of attack. We all train core strength. Okay, and when you're attacking, the strongest point of contact is right over your head in front of you in line with your center line. Okay, so when we're attacking, we always want our attackers to attack from here. But when we're setting, we want that same thing to happen. This is your strongest point of contact. So what we did with the setter's eye, Toshi originally thought of it. He called this our sunden, and we had everything attacked from this point. But we started thinking about it with setting. When they're setting, there are 3 points, or attacking, excuse me, there are 3 points of contact that are the strongest. Here, a little bit to your left of your shoulder, and to the right of your shoulder. We did the same thing with setting. We made the setter's eye the same size as those 3 points. So when you're attacking the ball, you attack the ball kind of in 3 ranges. If it's too far outside or too far outside your body on the other side, you're not as strong when you attack. Same idea with setting. So we made it the same size, and while setting, we made it, it's our target. We have it as our target for setting. Now, with this, we have a guy that's actually really good at setting, so he's hit this a couple times. He actually uses this in practice all the time. But what it does is it gives them a point to focus on. And when we're talking about systems nowadays, systems are getting faster. Your players at a younger age are getting better and better. This gives us kind of I guess, a way to cheat to give us a location. Most of you are used to putting your kids up on a box and they hold their arms up like this for location. And in about 2 minutes, they get tired of holding their arms up and their arms go here, and now you don't have a place for them to set anymore. This gave us a spot where we could do hundreds of thousands of reps, really, with some of our national team setters, where we had the same location every time. We could change the angle. Okay, if you see the top ring, we could change the angle to make it maybe a faster set. If we drop it all the way down, maybe a slower set. But we were adjusting that per what our national team players needed. Now, some of you will say, well, my kids aren't that good, they can't hit that. But they can. I actually have 12 and unders pass into those things as just a focal point for them so that they have something to try and hit. Because the minute they go, oh, I hit the ring, they always want to make it in the middle. And they make it in the middle the first time, and it's the coolest thing ever. So while we're doing setting, okay, we can talk about heights of sets, we talk about trajectory and speed, and by adjusting the angle, okay, of the setter's eye, that's where you see where we're working on speed, actually. Now, okay, we call this the ring of fire. And when we first made it, it was a complete circle, and it was the same size as the setter's eye, so that we're still working on those same 3 points of attacking. But what we did with this is we figured out that the ring at first, especially if you get, because not all of our passers pass right to the target, right? Mine don't. What we found is by limiting or by opening up the ring instead of using a full ring, we're giving them a target or a visual aid really for them to focus on. But at the same time, as they get better, they're trying to get that ball closer to the ring. And what we started to teach them was trajectory. So to get a perfect set, speed, trajectory, and location are the 3 things you're working on. Now, most of us, as we're teaching those 3 things, here we toss, and we say, too high, a little bit higher. We toss again, and we say, too far outside, or toss 2 balls inside. That was our feedback. It was just all verbal feedback. Now they can see if it gets close to the ring, the further it is away from the ring, the higher we can raise that pole to make it a higher set. I can work on trajectory and the height of my set. That will always, as they're going through that will always be the point, and they'll always hit the ring or the setter's eye with that. So I'm always giving them visual stimuli where they can see what's happening over and over again. And yeah, you'll say they'll never always get a perfect pass like that. You're right. But what we're training, hopefully, is repetition, okay? And we're giving them feedback with that. Maybe we're doing some videos so they see that height, and then they go back and do it again. Things that we do in the gym all the time anyway. He's just going to keep changing this and setting different sets. Again, I'm not working on any technique or anything like that, but I kind of want you to see, what happens with the height when he goes back behind him. Greg is going to add the full ring right now so that you can see as he goes through it where the ball lands as it's coming back outside. But working on, obviously, a lot of repetitions, but perfect repetitions. Now, the ring of fire is harder, doesn't work, when it's an out-of-system pass. What we're trying to work on is when you're tossing 700 balls to your kids and they're working on high outside sets and you want it to be this height, that will do it every single time. They can't do it unless they get it through the ring. So it'll be too high or it'll be too low, and they'll know right away because they're going to hit the ring. Okay? So too high. Too high again. If he makes it through the ring, he goes right into the setter's eye. Okay? So that gives them a point every single time that they know that's what it should feel like. That's the rhythm I need. That's the speed that I need to set that ball. Okay? Obviously, the back set is a little bit more difficult. You can't see it, but same idea. We're talking about rhythm again and talking about feel while they're setting that ball. Okay? You'll see that also there are 2 different setter's eyes. Like I said, Greg is thinking about these things all the time, and this is one of the original designs. He made one that looks almost exactly like the Ring of Fire, but you can add a net to it. So it's kind of cutting down for some of us that coach at schools that don't have a lot of money. It makes it easier for us to have both of those things at the same time. Okay, I want to add some hitters to this so you can see the hitters go against this. Can we just pull this up? Where's Sam? Perfect, thank you. Okay, you're going to set the same thing, set the high outside ball, and I want you guys to hit against the blockades. Please, as we go through this, you may stop me at any time and ask questions if something doesn't make sense. Okay, you guys just hit around this for now. Okay, while they're doing this, I want you to pay attention to a couple things. There are a whole bunch of elastic cords strapped to the net right now. I don't know about your teams, but my teams, my setters like to set the ball on top of the net because my shorter hitters can bounce the ball if they do that. And my hitters always like to crowd the net, especially my middles. So we're throwing out, and go ahead, toss and go ahead and attack. Just keep going. What we're trying to do, and as you watch them attack, we're giving them, again, another visual point of staying away from the net. Okay, and I'm jumping around right now because I really want to go back to the blockade. But I want you to notice as they're attacking, because we'll come back to this, notice where they are in relation to this. The top elastic also is a reference point for the setter. Okay, he knows that if he sets that ball inside of the orange, which Greg is going to bring out in a second, if he sets it inside of the elastic, obviously it's too tight to the net. Okay, and we don't want that ball anywhere near where the blockers, where the big hands are going to stuff them. Okay, and I'm going to go back again. Talking about, these are called blockade. And you're first looking at that going, my kids, some of you, my kids don't block that high. My kids don't get their hands that far over the net. Maybe they don't, but they will at some point if you're training them to block, if you're working on maybe some plyometrics to help them jump. What we found is even if your kids don't block that high, okay, even if your kids don't get their hands that far over the net, 12-year-olds, when they get their hands over the net, the ball still reacts off the hands the same way. Sometimes it does that. Sometimes they tool and it goes into the crowd. Sometimes it goes off the hands into the court. And there are a whole bunch of cool things that we can use this for. One, those don't complain. They don't get jammed fingers. Their legs don't get tired. Okay, when you're standing them up on a box, your kids, and they have to do this, and they close their eyes and do, those don't do that. So those are always targets that you have over the net for your kids to learn to hit around, to hit off of, to maybe wipe. Okay, these are great targets, and the best part about it is they don't complain. They're just always there. You move them wherever you want. Now, we do a whole bunch of things with these. Obviously, we can move them in attack line. We can split them in attack seam. We can move them all the way inside. There's obviously tons of things that you can creatively do with these blockades. I'm going to mess with them in a second. A lot of times when I do it with my teams, these have elastic straps that you can also hold them onto the net. They weigh, I think, 6 pounds maybe, so they don't pull the net down. They're super light. 12-year-olds can pick them up and bring them over and throw them back on. But they're very, very easy to use. So as they're doing this, something else cool that we kind of do sometimes, go ahead, is I can adjust, and this one's strapped in, but if he's going to hit cross court, I can adjust it to what he's doing. And this one's strapped on, but I can slide it along the net. Can you unhook that? Because I can't reach it. Go ahead. I can adjust it. Go ahead, let me do that. So if and my defensive players are behind him, and I want them to tell him what he's hitting, they'll tell him what's open. If I want to beforehand let her know that she's getting blocked cross court, okay, I can make adjustments to these along the net while they're attacking. Okay, and it's fun for kids to do. They always want to block each other, and it's something. I know this is I don't mean it to be negative, but it's kind of a gimmick. You're tricking them or teaching them something different using fun toys. And I mean, I don't know. Any of you guys have Wii? I play Wii all the time. It's kind of fun, and I wish they had a volleyball game. Yeah, tennis is awesome. Okay, and boxing. But things like this, gimmicks to get them involved or excited about trying to do something different. The blocking thing is always the best. They're always trying to beat the heck out of these things. I've never seen anyone break it. I'm positive if you were able to break one that they would replace it. That's not even a question, I think. But it's a cool thing to kind of throw at your kids and throw in front of them for them to see a different blocking scheme in front of them. Okay. Can we put one of those on the other side? Okay, we also talked about the elastic that's in front of you. Okay, and you see that our setter right now he's got a belt on and he's strapped into this elastic piece. Okay, we call this the middle trainer. And what I'm hoping is none of these guys play middle and they're not very good at it, so I can show you exactly what happens and how they'll get better. I complain all the time to my attackers that they're too tight to the net. Okay, and it's not just 12 and unders or college kids, it's most of your middles are too tight to the net. And they get excited and they go early and they run right past your setter before the ball's even passed. What we did with this, are you tossing? Can you just toss him in different spots so he has to come off the net and on the net? Don't attack yet, you guys. Yeah. Go ahead. Can you guys catch for him for a second? And you can set forward or back. Good. And Christy, off and on the net. Okay, so right now he's on the inside of the elastic. And in a minute, if you can imagine an attacker attacking at him or running to him to attack, what we're trying to do is create distance off the net. And if you think about it, the further the setter comes off the net, the further your attacker needs to be off the net, because you don't want them to run past him because the setter can't see him and it's harder to throw that ball over to the attacker. But what we're doing right now is we're, again, creating a visual aid for your attackers when they're running to attack. There is an elastic piece that's in the way. And are you moving this piece right here?
Yep.
Okay. As he comes off the net, he creates more space off the net, and he's going to force those hitters to stay behind him because they can't possibly, and they'll very quickly, you'll see them when they run into this elastic, how it screws up their approach and they get confused and they don't know what to do. But it forces him also, and you can see the elastic, the range at where he needs to set the ball. So as he steps off and the elastic is attached to the antenna, he knows the angle that he needs to set that ball. Now, obviously the backside is a little bit different because he can't see it, but as he gets closer to the net, he knows that he needs to flatten his set out to keep it off the net. As he comes further off the net, he knows that he can see it visually because that orange rope is in front of them where that ball needs to go. Okay, so it's a setter trainer as well as for our attackers. Okay, if he's on the inside of the elastic right now, that's the furthest point that we want to keep the hitters off the net. If he were, Skylar, can you switch to the other side of the elastic? If we were to put him on the inside of the outside of the elastic, we can bring the hitters a little bit closer as we train them to stay a little bit further off the net and create space. We can bring those hitters a little bit closer. Okay, so we're going to throw some attackers in here now. If we have, yeah, middles. Let's throw middles in. And I hope you're terrible. I'm kidding. I don't need you to be good. I need you to run any middle set you want. Threes, ones, back ones, two lefties. That's fine. Yeah. That's okay. I just want them to see how you go ahead and attack. And Christy, sometimes toss them 5-foot line, 10-foot line. Okay? It'll show the setter very, very quickly. As you come off the net, the elastic is obviously only going to stretch so far. It'll let him know immediately if he's going to be setting an out-of-system set, so he can't set the middle, okay? Or if he could possibly push that set and push the middle. Now, I don't know how you are with your offense, but in my offense, I want at least 75% of the balls to go to the middle if I can. On a good day, maybe I get 35 or 40%. But if my emphasis is to always push my middles, I want them to be great at staying off the net so that they can actually attack a ball. And what I found is the further I get them off the net, the more reps I get them with realizing that they have to be off the net, the more sets I actually get to our middles. Now, let's see what these guys can do. Okay, now they're showing off. Can you pull them off, Christy, toss them off the net a little bit further? Okay. They can immediately feel, obviously, because the elastic is hitting them most of the time in the legs. If they're too close, they'll stop themselves. A lot of our kids, as they get close and see it, they'll stop and jump back. So they immediately know as they're getting too close or they're not creating enough space between themselves and the net, instead of just ripping the net down like they normally do. Okay? Good. You don't have to be great at this. It's okay. You're not a middle. We're out of balls. We're just trying. Okay. Are there any questions about this while I'm kind of zipping through this? Okay. Also, there are a couple other spots on the net that you can see the elastic. The top one gives our setter a reference point. That can go out to 24 inches. So it gives the setter a reference how close you want your ball to be set. If the ball is on the inside of the orange elastic, closest to the net, obviously it's set too tight. On the other side of the elastic, depending on how far you want your sets off the net, gives them a great reference. And you can see it. I used to put a line of tape on the ground so they could see where that ball was going. But they're doing this, and it's really hard for them a lot of times to see that ball, and I really don't want them looking down when they're setting. So it gives them the reference. They see it up above them as they're setting. Your attacker's the same thing. As they're coming to attack, they see if the ball's dropping on the inside of the orange, what they need to do with it on the outside of the orange elastic, so they get a spatial awareness of where the ball's being set. We have two other orange straps that are in here, and I'm going to send you guys over to block now. Go ahead and take that off. On that side, right? Yeah. Can you guys come to this side? Is that set up at the right height right now? Yeah. Can they block through that? Okay, there are two other elastic straps up there, and we call this the IC zone. What we use this for is we have a tough time teaching our kids to penetrate or push their palms across the net. And will you guys go ahead and just alternate, maybe just going to the right or to the left as soon as he gets that set up? Okay. What we're trying to force them to do is feel, they can see and feel their hands reaching over to touch that orange elastic. And it's a great reference. If they're going straight up, they're not obviously going to be able to grab that orange elastic. A lot of times we would train it where we would hold volleyballs on the other side and they have to reach over and hit the volleyballs. Or we hold tennis balls over and they have to reach over and grab the tennis balls. Same idea. This can be up through the entire practice. You can hit balls off of the poles. You're not going to knock it down. It's strapped onto the net. It does not pull your net down no matter what system you're using. And it's a reference that we use through the entire practice. Through all of our blocking drills, especially with our girls and when we're training. They don't seem to like to reach over the net. They like to be big and tall. They don't realize that they're just a big wall for us to tool off of. So we'll do this a lot in terms of the men's national team uses this a lot. I didn't get Hugh over here to help us out today because I want him to talk to you about the footwork that they use. But it is a good reference point. And you can see that every single time we tell them to reach over and either touch or grab or press over the elastic. Again, that's adjustable so that you can, if your kids don't block as high, you can bring it down so they can reach over and grab that also. Okay? As coaches, we have to be creative, and we're always creative with different drills that we do. And some of this equipment, we just started just trying to figure out what else we could do with it. Obviously, we can use this for defense. With our attackers attacking at it, with a coach up on a box, attacking into the back of the hands, we can create how the ball's played off the hands during a match. He's got a box, he's going to hit at it. Okay, so what Greg's going to do is he's going to be hitting off the back of the hands. You'll see the ball go off in different directions, and they're going to play just defense off of that. So just a dig in a set, just get rid of it. Yeah, don't attack it, don't bother. Yeah. Oh, hasn't hit it yet. He's nervous, that's okay. Okay, so we can create realistic touches off the block. Okay, and this happens all the time. If I turned those hands around, he could do the same thing. He'd get blocked a couple more times than we'd like him to. But just by turning it around backwards or by angling those arms, angle any direction you want them to, we can create a defensive drill, okay, where they actually have to play the ball off the hands. Okay. Skylar, do we have the tondon straps? Are those over here? They're on the net. They're over there. No, it's okay. We don't. Okay. Okay, so we could do defensive drills with this stuff. We add attackers to this. I mean, you could create it to eventually, and I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to do it, but we play 6-on-6 with the full IC zone up, with one blocker or one blockade on either side. We work on our blockers closing to those because one of those will always help you block. We can put it inside or outside. We can make our hitters focus on hitting down the line or hitting maybe seam or cross court. But we will leave a lot of this stuff up throughout 6-man drills also, where they have to play it out. We have to reach over and grab the elastic. Again, instant feedback, instant gratification for them if they do it correctly. They know what's happening in front of them all the time. Okay? One other cool trick I want to show you. When we are teaching passing, okay, we started talking about how the closer and depending on what form of training you're from, if you're a gold medal squared coach or you're a Toshi coach or you're a Lang Ping coach, or everyone's a little bit different. Toshi's philosophy on passing was everything is as close to your body as possible. So we took these straps. Can I use you for a second since you're sitting in front of me? Again, those guys, I want them to keep kind of playing. What we did is as we're passing, we'll put this over your arms. We found a way to keep your arms close to your body. And you can't possibly, I'm not going to make it tight on you. So if she were passing, okay, and she were going to go pass a ball, and especially with younger kids, they do a lot of this. They do a lot of swinging their arms to get the ball to the target. If I have passing straps on her, and can you just do this motion? The minute she does that, first of all, it's hard, right? Can't really do it. But a lot of times what will happen, and I don't have it tight on her, it'll go right up around her body. So she knows that when I raise my arms to pass or I swing my arms too high, it gives you a little bit of range. But if I swing them too high, that strap goes up and I know I did it wrong. So what we start doing is, especially on defensive drills, where we're working on just deflecting the ball off of our body instead of actually using our arms to pass, because on a hard-driven ball, you're really not moving your arms that much. What we did is we got our arms close to our body, and now we're forcing them to move their feet to the ball instead of reaching their arms all over the place. Because the minute you reach your arms, either you can't, okay, it's a little bit difficult, or it snaps up out of the way and you know that you're not doing it correctly. So this is just kind of another, thank you very much for doing that. This is just kind of another one of the many inventions that Greg came up with while we were thinking about volleyball stuff. Okay? Any questions? I kind of blew through that because I could talk for 3 hours and they only gave me an hour. And I've wanted to do drills with this, but I didn't want to get into the technical side of coaching or teaching volleyball. I wanted you to see this equipment. Our national team uses this equipment. Greg is a sponsor with USA Volleyball. I know UCLA uses it. I know USC uses it. I don't know if Penn State, does Penn State use this stuff? Penn State use this at all?
Penn State.
Yeah.
No.
They're not using it. I got to talk to Russ. Okay, but a lot of, and on their website, on Parkinson website, they list all the schools that are currently using it. Not to say that's why you should get it. It's just another creative training technique that you can use to train your kids. And what we say at USA Volleyball, we talk too much. Okay, we don't let our kids get enough reps because we like to talk. This, you don't need to do it because they're getting feedback. If it doesn't go through the hoop, they know it's not going through the hoop. That's their feedback. If they set it over the hoop, if they set it in the hoop, if they set it too tight on the side of the elastic, they know. They don't need to hear it. They can see it immediately once they do it.
Website, please.
That's a good question. Maybe I have it. Maybe I have it with me. I don't work for them. I don't have it. Oh, I do have it. It's Parksun, Parksun. Parksun.com. Okay, they have all this equipment right now. They have it over at their booth right now, and I think it's cheaper here than it is at home. Parkinson, it's straight through. It's they also have those big screens that are over there. It's just straight through here.
Do you know how much the hands cost?
The hands right now, I believe, are $360 at the convention, $360 each, and they're $400.
Two on there right now?
There are 2 different ones on there right now. I actually, I know you go, oh, they're $360. I actually have 4 in my gym, and I work at an NAI school. I have no money, but if I didn't have, I would use them all the time. I mean, I have kids that complain about jumping and blocking all the time, so I have 4 of them. What else? Questions? No questions? Okay, I'm going to hang around for a while. We will all be at the booth for probably the next hour or 2. Those guys will be there the whole day. I'll probably be there the next hour or 2. If you have questions on any of this stuff or why or how we use it, I'm more than happy to answer those questions for you. And thank you very much for attending.